Okei, hän on sitä pui käännösksahkoi pinapuhts. Niistä on koukni näpiiksi. Ja mo kui se puhutsi kui napiittai. Ja muu koan siittai. Hello, my name is Chief Bird, the eagle. The story goes very quickly, and I'm not going to go into great detail. The beginning of these rivers and everything here, the grass, from Napi, our creation person, spiritual person, mystical person, that created everything first, then animals, flying beings, crawlers, fish, and then human beings. So the story goes on the Old Man River. Before the river came to be, way up in the mountains, after the mountains were built, or made, I should say, a lot of mystical women had an interest in Napi, the man, because they marveled him because he made this and all that. He was also a trickster. So one of the women got brave enough and would visit Napi at night and have a courtship and then leave in the morning. So Napi never recognized this woman. And this went on for some time. Finally, Napi figured, I'm going to find out who my lover is, or my romantic partner. But he built a trap under his bed on the ground and made it pretty deep. So one night before the mystical woman left, Napi pulled the log or the branches that covered, and they both fell down. And so they were both stuck in there. And mystically they started filling it with liquid, fluids, whatever. And then finally they swam out of it and recognized the woman, who the woman was, and she left, and he was pretty upset. So from that, it created the fingers into little creeks. And then eventually they all got together to form little rivers, and the little rivers all got together and formed Old Man River. And so those are all fingers when you look at the map, from little streams, little body of waters, to bigger streams, to creeks, to smaller rivers, to a major river system that we call the Old Man River. And so that is the history. And sometimes science, it's good to know science, but they don't tell the story.
I started really getting into canoeing quite a few years ago with my brother in Saskatchewan. So I went on a few trips with him and his buddies down to South Saskatchewan. And then for the past 6 years here in Lethbridge, I've kind of been leading the charge to have like a group of friends go down the Old Man River every year.
Someone had dropped out of the canoe trip and Tyler needed a paddle buddy. And he asked me, did I want to do it? And I was like, absolutely yes, sign me up. I didn't know what I was in for. I had no idea how to pack. I didn't pack enough water. I had possibly only been in a canoe one other time.
So I met Migueltzinta a couple years ago, and we became paddling pals. Definitely the best paddling pal I've had out of all the years of canoe trip. And this year we thought, why the heck, why don't we just buy our own canoe?
I am an avid user of Kijiji and Facebook Marketplace. It is where I get most of my gear. The canoe was actually for sale on an ad that had like a bunch of other things on it. It didn't even say canoe on there, but there was the image of the canoe. And the canoe caught my attention because it was pink.
So we buy this canoe, and she's a beauty.
We tapped on it to make sure it was in good shape.
Then like 2 days later, Miguel sends me this like Kijiji ad or Facebook Marketplace ad.
A aluminum trailer that hitched to a bicycle for a canoe, to haul a canoe. I laughed to myself and I was like, oh, I gotta send this to Tyler.
As a joke, really, I think. And of course, my first response is like, hell yeah, let's buy that thing. That's awesome.
It's the two things that we like to do, bikes and canoe, and it's just two things brought together.
So we, you know, I go meet this guy and he's built this canoe trailer with his son who's now passed away, and they never actually got to use it. So I felt like it was kind of a bit of a thing that was like, you know, cosmic energy saying like, you guys need this.
So my name is Shannon Frank. I'm the Executive Director of the Old Man Watershed Council based in Lethbridge. A watershed is an area of land that drains into a water body, in this case the Old Man River. So the Old Man Watershed is all the land, the whole 28,000 square kilometers of southwest Alberta that drains through its tributaries into the Old Man River.
We're standing at the north end of the Blood Reserve by the forks of the famous Old Man or Napi Tchtai River and the Valley River, Mukwansi Tchtai. Right across over there by those cliffs is also the notorious, and I wouldn't even say famous, it killed some of our people, Fort Kip. People just see the water here. If people want to see how water and rivers are formed, go to the headwaters of the Old Man.
The Old Man River starts up in the Rocky Mountains, and many of its tributaries do as well, like the Crow's Nest River, the Castle River, the Waterton River, the St. Mary River. Some others start a little bit more on the prairie, like the Willow Creek or the Little Bow River. They all rely on that heavy snowpack to really feed the river. Like that's where we get about 90% of our water from. So we really rely on those mountains, and part of it's actually in the States. The St. Mary River starts in the States and is one of our most significant rivers. It actually provides the most water on average. The Old Man River joins the Bow River just around Grassy Lake, and then it's called the South Saskatchewan River, and then it flows through Saskatchewan into Manitoba and into Lake Winnipeg. And then the Lake Winnipeg, of course, flows north into Hudson Bay. So eventually it's all heading out to Hudson Bay in the ocean.
Let the hold it down. How do you feel about this, Tyler?
I feel like this should work. I feel confident. It looks good. It doesn't look horrible. June 28th, first fully loaded canoe trailer test. Going around the block.
Are you afraid? You scared?
Slightly nervous.
Just take it easy.
I'm not afraid.
That's the man. Don't make any hard stuff. There he goes.
Here's the uphill test.
Okay.
When you're down, I will
Pedal standing.
When the world starts messing you around, we'll find a way for you to release. When it seems like it's all too much, just remember that in my hand,
Do you feel safe driving this thing?
I do. I feel a little overconfident, actually. It is July 6th,
July 6th.
2021. We have not yet actually tested our canoe. We don't know that it will actually float, even though we do know that the bike trailer works.
Bike trailer works.
We disassembled the bike trailer to test it the last time we met, but we have not reassembled the bike trailer. And so now we have to do that, which might actually be harder than disassembling, as these things usually go.
Might be.
Plan today is to reassemble the bike trailer, get the canoe on there, bike over to Henderson Lake.
Henderson Lake is a shallow, man-made urban lake. Only about, a kilometer or so from my house here. It's the first test of pulling the canoe a significant distance. The first test of putting the canoe into a body of water, which it looks seaworthy.
Yeah, it's just faded.
It's a seaworthy canoe, but we got to make sure.
I'm going insane now. I've been feeling like I'm going insane now. I've been feeling like I'm losing my brain now. I've been feeling like I'm going insane now. Spin round and round, going nowhere but down. Turning around, speeding down that crazy old highway alive. You don't hear a sound. Don't let yourself get too run down. Down to the ground. Turn around one day and you'll be dead. I've been feeling like I'm going insane now. I've been feeling like I'm going insane now. I've been 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 going insane now.
Okay, my name's Kale, Fox Zacharias. I'm an artist, just like everyone else, I believe.
Straight or right?
Wherever you want to go there.
Right.
You can go right.
It's a bit of a walk to the river, but
Yeah.
now we want to go.
You could go.
Rolling, rolling.
Rolling.
Okay, it's a way. Idanek itekitsino. That is translated into the holy walk at the Sundance. Park here is referred to as the Indian Battle Park. And when I was 6 years old, my grandparents drove me down here 48 years ago. And they talked about the battle, the last battle between the Cree and the Blackfoot here. So the Blackfoot persevered, and I saw cloth in the trees. They said that it was winter and it was cold, they couldn't dig, so they tied the bodies in the trees. That's what they told me. My grandfather, Harvey Tail Feathers, Nellie Tail Feathers. And so when we drove through here, there was cloth all over it in the trees, and it, you know, they said that they would tie the person's body up and have their belongings with them. And so they just let them fall off the tree and then do a proper burial when the land, the earth was soft.
Yeah, my connection to the river is always, it's really powerful. And even I think about it, how I've come from the reserve upstream, and this river goes all the way to South Sask, and I was living off reserve for a lot of my life in Saskatoon, near a little bit up there north of Saskatoon, a little place called Osler. And I go to the river, and that's basically where I grew up. It was my therapist, so to speak, too. And just to come back and to have the same river in my life always, I'm so blessed.
Yeah, I never really was into rivers much until I moved to Lethbridge, really. I've done some paddling with my brother in Saskatchewan as an adult, but like as a kid, it wasn't like a thing we ever hung out on the river. Like I grew up in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, and there was a river there, but we never really spent much time on it. So it was never really a thing I was into until really the past like 5 or 6, 7 years, something like that. So yeah, just kind of figured, you know, as long as you're being safe, why not get out there and just like try it out and explore more things. So between canoeing and paddleboarding, I've been able to, you know, discover a lot of cool rivers around Western Canada, because really all it takes is just like some initiative to say like, I've got the paddleboard, I've got the canoe, just like go out there and do it, and you know, be safe, but like have fun and don't overthink it. Just get out on the water and go for it.
I actually did grow up going to the Feather River in California and doing like a lot of tubing and kind of very casual rafting there. It's kind of a different river. It's like much more rocky and a lot more white water and much like narrower. It's like a mountain river, right? It's not like the big lazy prairie rivers.
Do you remember spending time at rivers?
Oh yeah.
You know, when you were, because ever since you were born,
Mm-hmm.
we've been taking you to rivers, and you fall in.
Good morning. It is
Friday, July 9th.
Friday, July 9th.
6:45 a.m.
6:45 a.m. Today we are doing round
Test number two. Test two.
No. We are going to take the canoe on our bikes from Tyler's house to Old Man River.
We could drown, so we'll wear our life jackets. We
Mm-hmm.
could crash our bikes, so we'll wear our helmets.
The trailer could jackknife
Yeah.
as we're going down.
You know, I think there's a few, what do you call them? Runaway lanes? You know, like they have for semi-trailers on the highway? Thinking like, if I just stand on my pedals and I'm out of control, can I just like jump off the bike out of the way of the canoe?
This is the place.
Made it to the river without incident. Pelicans will let us in. We're good to go. All right, where are we, Miguel?
We did it. We got down to the river. The canoe has touched the Old Man River for the first time.
Thunderstorms are passing away.
Nowhere to go. Won't you please just take my hand and lead me to the promised land?
The weir is a concrete wall that's about 1.5 meters tall that runs the full width of the river, and it was built in the mid-50s, and its original purpose was to divert the water from the river into the treatment plant just by setting the stage of the river. Prior to the Old Man Dam in 1991, the Old Man River in late summer could get really low. And so, today the river's managed with those upstream storage reservoirs to the point where we can count on a reliable 19 or 20 cubic meters a second coming through the city of Lethbridge. My name is Doug Kaupp, K-A-U-P-P. I'm General Manager of Water and Wastewater at the city of Lethbridge. The Water and Wastewater Department takes care of everything from where we pull the water out of the river, treat it for the community's use, and then we take it back when they're finished with it and treat it again to be fit to release into the environment. From river to tap to toilet to the river again. The water gets treated so that it's free of disease-causing organisms and minerals and other contaminants that cause issues, and so that industry and households can use the water. And wastewater is the water that comes from those businesses and homes that this toilet water and dishwater and everything that goes into what we call the sanitary sewer.
Strange things get hung up in sewers, and people expect strange things to show up. We get in the 30 years that I've been here, we've gotten calls from people looking for their eyeglasses or their false teeth, and it's like, no man, you don't want them if we find them.
Stormwater is a lot trickier because that's the water that falls from the sky and gets discharged into the river, but it's untreated. Part of the challenge with stormwater is not letting it get contaminated to the point that it impacts the environment.
The river is telling us a story of how we are treating the land upstream of us. And so we can see that in what we get downstream is how the people upstream are managing the land. So it's really about how we all rely on each other, and we get the Old Man River starts well above Lethbridge, and we get what we get, and then we're telling the people downstream of us, that we're doing a good job and we're passing on that good water downstream. How can we all work together to make sure that that is as clean and clear as possible?
Water is amazing. And so this water, all the towns, villages upstream that draw from it for their survival, the babies and their milk and etc., all the way to adults, to farm animals, horses, cattle, sheep, whatever other livestock, all with the relationship with water, the Old Man. And then he comes right past what is now presently the Blood Reserve, the north part, and it feeds the Lethbridge. If this water ever went dry, well, Lethbridge is in big trouble.
Good morning. Hello. That's quite the setup you've got there.
Haven't sunk so far.
Beautiful. Where are you off to?
Going on a pavan.
Nice.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
Thanks, you too.
incline coming out of the river valley. Tyler did most of the biking. I just did some pushing.
No stops.
No stops.
No disasters.
No disaster.
Didn't fall off the curb. There was a couple moments where it was some ziggy-zaggy. That was shockingly successful. I thought that was going to be an hour of sheer torture, and it was not bad. I'm still having fun.
Right?
I'm not
Yes,
like
exactly.
hating it yet.
You don't want to like burn the canoe yet.
I don't want to give up and call for a taxi home. Oh. You're definitely taking the next part of that.
Oh yeah, it's my turn next, isn't it?
Now, the waters don't necessarily mix together. If you look at closely, the Belly River and the Oldman right here are side by side as they go around the curves. And they're joined by a third water system, the St. Mary's River. 3 rivers, all respectful to each other, until they get to the Weir and Lethbridge and it's all mixed. You can see the valley. So it's not like the water just goes like this. And the relationship the old people, where the waters develop a friendship. Because the waters in our belief has a spirit. It's alive. And so right now you can see it. This side's the valley, the other side's the Old Man. And people have never thought about it. And so right where they meet, I hear stories of people offering animal meat, tobacco, even berries. Right in the middle, old stories. To give thanks to the water beings, Suita peaks, for the existence. And this is before Europeans. We've always used tobacco or kiniknik, kakse, as an offering. Saskatoon Okonokiks, meanists, the berries, giving thanks for our survival. And that's one thing people need to understand. We can't just take and take. You have to give some back in appreciation and out of respect for nature. All these that were created for us. We didn't create water. We as human beings did not create Old Man. We did not plant these trees. It just happened. It came along with those seeds that Napi made trees.
I'm a really big proponent of kind of changing our worldview a bit to be more of an Indigenous worldview where we have inherent respect for the ecosystems and nature. I think we've gotten away from that as kind of the settler culture, and the European culture that we've brought here is more like that colonial view. But the Indigenous worldview is very different, and I think that's what we need to learn from and adopt in order to, deal with these issues of climate change and biodiversity collapse, and all these horrible things that we're seeing happen.
When they made the treaties, it was like, till the green isn't, or till the grass isn't green, or till the rivers aren't flowing, or till the sun isn't shining. It wasn't shining the other week, There's a lot of forest fires, and I just think about like, will this river run dry? Will our treaties be up then? Because that was the deal made. Yeah, then I just think like, it's always gonna be here. and that's what brings me back to the therapy, is like it's just constantly moving, and I'm going through all this crisis, and it's like my people have been doing the same thing that I'm doing. They're going, look, like, you know, whatever happens, everybody in this community comes to the river. Like my community, there's a lot of pain, and I really didn't want to bring like this to the to the show, but that's kind of the reality of things for my people, at least, you know. So like when I come down to this river, it's like, you know, there's stories of the Great Indian Battle Park, but then I look at like how much water has gone through this. You look at the coulees, and like, how old is this river really? You know, how long have my people really been here?
It is part of our culture that we pray for our water, that it stays clean. Water, the sun, earth, and air. So when you see this water here, I've taught my children, we give tobacco to the water. If you don't have tobacco, you just use a rock. So you give the water your worries, or you give the water your hopes.
These forests are alive, these trees, because of water. Because of water. The woodpecker, the skunk, the gophers, everything. All flying water, land beings, including us, need water. But we forget the importance of water and the importance of the old man, not Migueltzinta.
Having had 2 successful pedal paddles, we started planning for a longer trip. We needed to find other places where we could access the riverbank with our awesome canoe bike setup. But accessing the river turned out to be more of a challenge than we'd expected.
Lethbridge Laboratory. Oh man. We're gonna stumble onto some weird things out here.
This is how horror movies start.
This is the start of a horror film.
Yeah. Two
friends go on a canoe trip.
Yeah. Pick up a bizarre
Come back with
disease.
a 5th arm. And 4 eyes.
New pandemic.
Look at that. That's a double sense. What are they keeping in?
Jeez. What is
They're
this
not trying to
place?
keep people out. They're trying to keep it in. This would be perfect. Oh, man. That is so sweet.
Whoa, there's a lot of grass there. Oh. Fence.
I don't think this is gonna be a viable route.
Here's the thing. We know that anything on gravel, any bike part on gravel is gonna be work.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of work.
And so, do we want the paddling part to also be a lot of work?
That's a good point.
Why don't we just throw it from the bridge? We'll throw the canoe down.
Jump in?
Yeah. I think it's a great idea. Finally, we settled on the one route we knew would be accessible for sure. A route which would take us in a big figure-8 loop across the whole city. Starting at Tyler's house, we would cross the river valley on Whoop Up Drive, follow the bike trail, take a gravel road down to Popson Park, and use the boat launch there. We'd let the river carry us downstream before stopping to portage. We'd haul the canoe down a bike trail and back to the river downstream of the weir. From there, we'd paddle down to Pavan Park, get out, pedal out of the river valley, across town, and back to Tyler's.
I think the best part of like planning fun canoe trips or bike trips is to just like do something weird, and that's like not about, you know, conquering some goal or like achieving some, you know, commendable feat of athleticism or something, but like plan things that are fun with your friends, that are weird, that are more about, you know, the journey than the destination. You know, it doesn't matter how far you go or how far you don't go. It just matters like that it was cool for you and your group for your own reasons. So don't like, you know, do things just because they're on some bucket list or some thing that you read in a magazine or saw on the internet. Like, do some stupid thing that's cool to you for your own reasons, and that's the best kind of trip you can plan.
It's the big day,
I reckon it's going to be about 50 kilometers.
including the canoe and pedaling.
All told.
All told.
I think we picked a good day. Most of our weather lately has been insanely hot and smoky, but today we've got a nice cool one. Conditions are right.
We're pretty confident about this.
Feeling good.
Feeling great.
Feeling great.
Eagle flight, I don't wanna see you around anymore. You caught that fish and sat down on the shore. Swooped on down to descend from a soar. Eagle flight, I don't wanna see you around anymore.
Oh dear. Oh.
Make you feel eagle flight. I don't wanna see you around anymore. Don't you think that we've been here and done this before? So spread your wings and go find something more. Eagle flight. I don't wanna see you around anymore. We came down to steal your meal.
Kristen and I were on the bus, and she looks out the window and she's like, "Is that a canoe?" And I say, "Yeah, that's a canoe, and that's Tyler and Migueltzinta."
And then I got closer and I was like, why are they in front of the canoe on bikes? Like, I couldn't figure out what you were doing.
I can't remember what she said. Oh, maybe.
I looked a little closer and I'm like, hey, that's Tyler. What is he doing with this canoe on this little... And then I looked at your contraption, how you had the canoe rigged, and I looked at it pretty intensely. And I was like, impressive.
Have you ever biked up Whoop Up Drive before?
I have not, and I hope I never have to.
It would obviously be easier if I lent my truck.
It's a very steep grade. There's no shade, and you've got cars and their exhaust to deal with. So Whoop Up Drive is a difficult ride on a bike.
Oh, you know, at first, when I first did it, I thought there's no way you could do it. It's totally impossible, but it's actually not that bad. Once you learn your gears on your bike and how to pace yourself, it's actually totally doable by anybody. It just takes practice, and the more you do it, it's super easy. Super easy.
Well, we're headed up the hill and Whoop Up Drive, and I'm already out of breath, and I'm not even pulling a canoe behind me. Tyler's still going like a champ. Let's go see how he feels about his decision. Excuse me, sir, I wonder if I could ask you a few questions. Do you regret your decisions?
No, not yet.
How you feel?
It's a long way.
Ready to be sick?
Almost. Got a few whiffs of exhaust fumes there. I thought I might barf.
The hardest part is over.
Hardest part is over.
Spread your wings and go find something more. Eagle flight. I don't wanna see
Tyler and I our birthdays are 10 days apart.
Great.
For my birthday, Tyler blinged out this sweet vest, this sweet life jacket. So we got some cool patches that he sewed on. Put some glitter on the buckles. See it shining there, and then he did the back. You want to show him the back?
Look at that fringe just swaying in the breeze. Looks even better now that it got all wet and ragged.
Yeah.
Looks gnarly.
That's real.
I've canoed down the Old Man in my younger days and experiencing the view from middle of the river on either side. Cliffs and formations that you won't necessarily see even if you're there from this bank.
So we made it the first leg of the trip from Popson down to where we're going to portage. And as we're unpacking, Tyler noticed that he's missing a part that we did not expect to lose. As you can see, we're missing the little end part of the tire here. So Tyler's going to call up our buddy and see if he can bring a spare for us.
Howdy. How you doing? Well, I lost the nut for my quick release wheel somewhere in between launching our boat and getting here. Yeah, on the front axle. Like, you know how you flip the quick release thing and then spin the nut kind of loose and then you just lift your wheel out? The like little nut, which I can send you a picture of. I'm not sure exactly what size it is, but it fell off apparently. So I basically can't ride my bike.
After thinking about our nut problem for a bit, we decided that the best thing is for our friend Aaron to lend Tyler the nut off of his bike's quick release, long enough for Tyler and I to complete the portage around the weir. Then, while Tyler and I complete our paddle, Aaron will go to our local bike shop, pick up a replacement, and bring it down to the exit point at Pavan before we start the haul back home. Before mounting up, we switch the trailer hitch to my bike. And then it's back to the old routine. Assemble the trailer, strap on our gear, add the canoe, and we're on our way.
Is it really heavy?
What's really amazing about all this is that I haven't pooped at all today. Usually I poop like 3 times a day.
things. So we often make the choice for economic development and jobs and prosperity to dam our rivers, and that has changed them significantly. So we have had huge benefits. There's no doubt that irrigation and agriculture has huge economic benefits, and we've all enjoyed those benefits. But they do come with a trade-off in that the water level is lower than it would have been naturally, which does impact the ecosystem. So the fish and the trees, do decline. We've seen declines in the cottonwood forests. And there's been efforts to restore those, and there has been some, oh my God, something fell off the tree. The cottonwood forests they're trying to restore the forest by mimicking nature with the way they operate the dams and the reservoirs to have those spring runoffs and make sure the fish have as much water as they need. But realistically, that's not that easy. So there are a lot of times, especially in late summer, early fall, where there's not as much water in the river as we'd like to see, and so we know the fish and the trees and the ecosystem is stressed from drought. And that's why you see things like angling advisories, asking people not to fish, or to fish only in the early morning, catch and release only, that sort of thing.
I remember just hearing stories of my uncle when he was younger, like it being full of so much fish, and like they were pretty broke, like they're poor, and so like when there's nothing in the fridge, my uncle he'd be like 8 years old, he'd go fish, come back with like 6 fish. I don't know, I have a pessimistic look on the river. It provides so much life and so much like therapy for me, but then like just to hear those stories being like, oh, that river was like 6 feet high, and it used to be like clear, and then this, you can't see your hands through if it's right in front of you type beat. Just going from Lee's Creek all the way here, and that was what, like, my uncle was like 60 something, that was like no less than 40 years ago. I just think about the dams. Yeah, we need it, but like, I don't know, do we?
One of the best things that an urban person can do is really watch what they're doing outside of their home in their yard. We have a program called the Prairie Urban Garden Project, which is encouraging people to xeriscape, which is low water use yard practices using native plants that naturally grow here. They don't need as much water, and if you plant them appropriately, you can really minimize your water use. Lawn generally uses a lot more water, so we want to really limit that, and we want to use native plants instead.
If there was no water, there'd be no poplar. The willows, all the other type of trees and plants, the bullberries, the rushes here. There'll be no water. There'll be no clips. There'd be no water for these trees to drink, as the old people say, to drink. There'll be no animals. Of all the four-leggeds, there'll be no fish. And so when we cross over bridges, we just see Old Man River, but we never stop and think, see, this is what this water brings to the earth, to southern Alberta, to Blackfoot traditional territory. If it wasn't for water, all the deer, antelope, buffalo, they all die of thirst. And the birds and the fish, it won't be a good sight. So we have to understand and respect our waters. We got to protect them.
The best part about specifically canoeing is that you can go as fast or as slow as you want to, and you can actually see things that you don't see in your day-to-day life here in Lethbridge. You're seeing tons of bald eagles and beavers and the biggest flock of herons I've ever seen in my life, and things that are literally right beside us, but they're just far enough away from the city that you kind of have to get outside of the busy area where there's vehicles and lots of people all the time, and you see all this stuff that is beautiful and awesome.
There's something I find very meditative about traveling on the Old Man River. I think my expectation coming to the prairies was that it was, I don't know, a monotonous kind of landscape. And in fact, it's a very rich landscape, very varied landscape. And I feel like the Old Man River and traveling down that, you get to see all of that unfold before you.
A lot of the prairie species are at risk because grasslands are endangered. Everything from badgers to a lot of grassland birds. A lot of these species are sensitive, and their populations are declining because of human activity. So again, we need to learn how to live in harmony with nature and how to respect nature. Otherwise, a lot of this stuff is going to disappear.
How you feeling, Tyler?
I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah?
I think we've managed to overcome all of our substantial hurdles. I don't want to be overconfident, but I think we may have done it.
Yeah, I think so too.
We're almost there. We have one hill climb awaiting and one commute home.
Yep. Nice weather still.
Yeah.
We might have a few droplets of rain, but
we might. Clouds are gathering. But
they are gathering, but they don't look too bad.
Might be a race to the finish. They look dark, but not quite that scary. Nothing we can't handle.
We've seen worse.
We've seen worse. the park this morning. So.
It's all uphill from here, though. Oh my god. This is the easy part, yeah. Alrighty.
Thanks.
Well, it's starting to rain. I'm pulling the canoe. How's it going back there, Tyler?
I feel like you're doing most of the work.
Yeah? Well, that's good.
It's harder to run than it is to pedal. Oh, there's a couple of granola bars here too. Can't get into my jerky. The most frustrating part of this whole trip. I need fuel.
So we have stopped to take shelter from this vicious storm, which is actually not that bad, and it seems about to pass. Give Tyler a chance to get into his jerky. Are you still struggling with that?
I wrecked pull tab thing.
There's just something about the view from the water as you're paddling. And that whole feeling of calmness. One with the water. One with nature. And so I marvel that. That's why I like canoeing, just the feeling of the water and you're floating. And so those are experiences that a lot of people will never experience. Because if you're just a house person and you're not outdoors, you will never experience the strength, the energy, the vibration, the relationship of water and land.
Even just thinking about before, like the Old Man Dam was there, St. Mary's Dam, even Diefenbaker, how big this river was and how naturally it was kind of flowing, but still it's flowing, you know, even though it's being choked or whatever. It's just like, it just breathes this like energy that's like totally gonna be okay, you know. Like every time like I went through a hard time in life, it was the river that like that can talk to, you know. And my people have been talking to, everyone's been talking to the river for that long. Whether you like it or not, you've been drinking the water, you know. And that's the spirit that's moving through you, you know.
I think what I learned from pedaling to the paddle is to value working hard to get to a place, but then relaxing and just like, you know, enjoying the moment. Having those two contrasting experiences, right? The experience of hauling the canoe from one end of town to the other, and then getting in the river and then just drifting down, right? I mean, we did some paddling, but drifting down that and just enjoying like the power of the river.
I feel like I have a better appreciation for the laws of gravity. Because you have to fight them on a bicycle to go up, and you have to work with them on the river going down. I think it's interesting to just think about, like, you know, what you can do without using a vehicle, and that it's actually not that hard. It just takes some planning and some thinking in advance, but that was not nearly as miserable or terrible as I thought it could potentially be. And now it just opens up a whole new, like, world of possibilities to think about, like, other trips you could do, not even necessarily with a canoe and a bike, but other trips like that that are just like, yeah, give it some thought and do something really awesome and fun that doesn't involve flying on a plane or driving a vehicle somewhere, which is pretty awesome.
Oh yeah.
Let's go. All right, well, we made it back. We completed the trip. It wasn't easy.
It was not easy. The
No.
funnest part was knowing that
It would be
it was
over.
going to be over.
Yeah. You ready to do it again?
Not till next week, at least.
This sound of the rapids, as people say, that sound has been going on day and night from time immemorial for maybe thousands and millions of years. The sound of water on rapids. It's a non-stop sound. The only time it will stop is it's so shallow and there's no more water.